people, even if they're buying in their own market, to find a professional property management company.
Is that a major part when you talk about the infrastructure you put in? Is a major part of that is the property management?
It is the absolute key to making this thing work. So if you have a solid property management company, they can take a mediocre investment and turn it into one that's pretty good.
What percentage of revenue do you, from rental income, do you allocate for property management?
Depends on the market, but it's usually somewhere between 7 and 10% of the gross rents.
Wow. Okay, so it's a pretty good chunk.
Yeah, I mean, for what they do, it's a really small chunk.
Yeah.
I've owned a property management company. It is one of the smallest margin, thankless jobs you could possibly ever want to do. I can't believe people actually do it. You have to scale it really big or keep it really small to make any money doing it. It's either got to be kind of a mom and pop deal or it's got to be a big outfit in order for the numbers to work. And then they get angry calls from the tenants and they get angry calls from the owners, and nearly nobody thanks them for doing a great job. So for those of you out there who actually own rental properties, thank your managers, send them Christmas cards. You're the only one doing it, I promise, and you'll get better service. So.
At what point, so if somebody says, I've got some extra money, I've been working for a while, I'm trying to figure out what to do with it, I don't like the stock market, real estate has much more appeal for me. What do you think, in the markets that you work in at least, what do you think the minimal amount of capital you need to start becoming like a client of yours where they can follow you into markets and pick up some homes? What's the minimum amount of capital they would need, and how long before you think they start to really see a return on that capital?
It really depends on the market, but let's go from the low end. You probably need around $20,000 to $25,000 plus reserves, and usually that's 6 months, which is for that price of a property, you probably need another $5,000 to $10,000 total.
So the range of the actual property value is where?
That's around $100,000.
So you're looking at homes about $100,000.
Yeah, because you can do it on a single family home right now. You can put 20% down on a property, leverage the rest out. And there's some closing costs in there, and then you got to have reserves. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they'll go in and they'll buy a property, and they had reserves, and then they'll use the reserves for the property to go to Cancun or whatever, and then something goes wrong with the property, and they don't have the reserves anymore. It's a big rookie mistake. You have to have reserves for your properties, and you have to have reserves for your personal life too, right? So, got to have enough reserves for your personal life before you start having reserves for investment properties. And people like to get out ahead of themselves because the numbers look really good. They get super excited about it, right? And then they go out there and do it, and they do it a little prematurely. When if they had just spent 6 more months getting their finances dialed in,
right,
then they would have had a better experience.
So then 25 grand or 20 for deposit, $5,000 reserves, you get your first property, rent starts coming back, I guess, immediately.
Yeah.
And then, now you're, I guess, as far as managing your rental income, you're allocating for vacancy, allocating for repairs, allocating for property management, all those things. But so what period of time, so if I started with $25,000, in what period of time do you think would be before I'm ready for my next home?
Depends on how much you can save, right? So when we meet with people, we try to help them understand that buying one property and then trying to leverage that property into another property, that takes time. In the situation in Boise, I was just telling you, but we just did a 1031 exchange, which we can talk about in a minute, where we take those funds and tax deferred exchange them into other properties. We did that. They bought in 2011, and we're doing it this year. That's 6 years, 7 years, right? In 7 years, there's $200,000 plus all the cash flow, plus the principal reduction, plus the tax benefits. So there's 4 returns that are happening simultaneously on that property. But that client didn't just buy that property. So they saved money that year, bought the next year, saved money, and then buy. And when you do that, when you keep doing that, you've accelerated this thing, because then this one property turns into, for her, that one property turned into 4. Right? And then it did it with the same amount of money. But the one that she bought the next year, it's doing the same thing. She's currently trying to sell that one right now, and it's going to spawn another one too. So it depends on how much capital you have, how quickly all of that can happen. But we see clients all the time who have 200, 500, $1 million in a retirement account, and they're scared to death because they've watched the stock market for over a decade now go straight up. I mean, the thing has just been going up, and they don't know what to do with their money now, because as soon as that thing crashes again, they could lose 50% of their money,
Right.
and away we go again, right? Where they can take that money, and they don't have to take it out and have a taxable event, because a lot of people don't realize this, but you can move money from a 401k into a self-directed IRA, and an IRA can actually buy and own real estate just like it can a stock.